We have reached the midway point in T-Rex Week here at the Jay Leonard J YouTube page, and today I'm presenting to you the Creamer Reverb. We could all benefit from a little bit of reverb in our guitar tone, especially if we're doing a little bit of soloing. A guitar, it's just a sound that comes out of this little box. It's like so directional. Reverb really just spreads out the love, make things sound really, really good. But one trend I'm seeing in a lot of the boutique amps is they don't have the reverb because the amp makers just don't like what it does to the dry tone. So pedals like this become really, really useful to us. Great things about the Creamer Reverb is it has a dry through. So your clean tone, your actual bass tone doesn't change. It stays the way it's supposed to be. Another thing that's really, really great about this pedal is you have a 3-position toggle switch, which gives you 3 distinct sounding types of reverb that you could use in really, really interesting ways and really kind of find ways to make your sound more unique and more interesting. So let's get a little bit of space in our notes. Let's plug this thing out and see what it sounds like. So the layout of this pedal is pretty simple. We got the tone, the decay, and the reverb. Reverb is the amount of reverb. Tone is the bright and dark. And the decay is how long those notes are just going to hold on. We're going to start with the room setting, which is right on the top. I find the setting to work really good for the people that don't really need that much reverb. It's very kind of subtle, but what I like about it is it kind of simulates the sound of like the old school records. Like back in the day when there was like a microphone in the middle of the room and there were like people around it at different distances. And so that sound of like that guitar that's, 10 feet away from the microphone and that room kind of feel, that's what we're going for. It sounds very, very old school, very subtle, but it makes a huge difference. Let's go plug into my guitar. I got this Revstar Pro with the tone-specific rock pickups going into a 1965 Fender Deluxe sinusoid cable. Let's hear what we sound here. Very, very cool. Let's turn on the reverb and hear that tenor reverb. All right, so there it is. You hear it, it kind of has a little bit of like a hold and then release, and it's fairly short. What I want to do is I want to turn the tone low on this, a little bit darker, right? And then I'm going to turn the decay down a little bit too. There we go, a little bit less reverb. And then that's the sound you're going to use pretty much for all your old school guitar playing. Now let's check out the hall setting on this thing. It's just right here on the bottom. It's a much thicker and full, like really atmospheric sounding reverb, just like a blanket of just loveliness. Hear how it just really just goes on forever? Now, if you really want to get epic and gnarly with it, put a little bit of gain like this Wampler Catapult on, and all of a sudden you're like in arena rock world. All right, so now let's try that spring reverb setting. Ah, man, I love spring reverb. You'll notice I changed my guitar. I don't know, something about Fender guitars and spring reverb. It's just like, it just works out perfectly. I gotta do it. So spring reverb is right in the middle. I got myself a custom shop Telecaster with the Virgil Arlo pickups, and it sounds pretty cool on its own, but then you add the spring reverb, and then that's what we're looking for. Now you'll notice the way I like to set my reverb to get a nice kind of surfy tone is you gotta extend the K. There you go. Ooh. Then we gotta increase our tone, get it brighter. That's what you do. You really want it to assert itself. There we go, a little bit more treble. Woo! There you go, you're ready to surf.